Good. Okay, I'm going to test the mics one more time. Well, that sounds a lot better from my perspective. So, good morning, everyone. It is Monday, August 18th, and we will call the meeting of the Bismarck-Mandan Metropolitan Planning Organization Technical Advisory Committee to order. I will begin with a roll call, please, Tracy.
Ben Arith.
Here.
Dan Shriak.
Here.
Deidre Hughes.
Here.
Chris Holzer.
Here.
Loretta Marshak.
Here.
Riley McAdoo Raisler.
Here.
John Sackey. Logan Bisey.
Here.
Mitch Flanagan.
Here.
Natalie Pierce.
Here.
Will Hutchings.
Here.
And Chair Ripple.
Here. Thank you for the roll call. We will open the meeting with a public comment opportunity. This will be restricted to items that are on the current agenda or on the agenda of the July 14th meeting of the Technical Advisory Committee. This does exclude any public hearing items. Is there anybody that would like to step up to the podium and provide public comment at this time? And if so, we do ask that you sign your name in on the sign-in sheet at the podium. Second call for public comment on non-public hearing items on the current agenda or the previous meeting agenda. And third call for public comment. Hearing and seeing none, the public comment opportunity is closed. We'll begin with the approval and possible, or the review and possible approval of the minutes from the July 14th meeting. Are there any corrections or additions to the July 14th minutes? If not, is there a motion for approval?
This is Ben. I would move to approve the minutes as presented.
We have a motion for approval. Is there a second?
This is Loretta. I move to second that motion.
Thank you, Loretta. First and second, we'll have a roll call vote, please.
Ben Arith.
Yes.
Dan Shriak.
Yes.
Deidre Hughes.
Yes.
Chris Holzer.
Yes.
Loretta Marshak.
Yes.
Riley McAdoo Raisler.
Yes.
Logan Bisey.
Yes.
Mitch Flanagan.
Yes.
Natalie Pierce.
Yes.
Will Hutchings.
Yes.
And Chair Ripple.
Yes, minutes are approved as presented. Thanks. Moving on to number 3 on the agenda is 2025-2028 TIP amendments, and Stephen Larson will be presenting those for us.
Thank you, Chair. Give me just one moment. All right, so Exhibits A and B in your packet provide details about 2 proposed amendments to our current 25 through 28 Transportation Improvement Program. The first amendment is Exhibit A. It increases cost estimates associated with Phase 3 of the fiscal year 25 Mandan Memorial Highway Reconstruction Project that DOT provided to us. And then the second amendment is Exhibit B. Adds a new project to the TIP in fiscal year 25 for the preliminary engineering portion of a current potential fiscal year 29 project planned for drainage improvements at Mandan's North Dakota 1806 6th Avenue Northeast Railroad Underpass. Both these projects are being advertised for the required 15-day public comment period. A public hearing will be held for them at 10 a.m. in the David Blackstead Room at the City County Building in Bismarck on August 20th, since we were not able to get them advertised in time to hold the hearing at TAC today. We are therefore requesting the board consider approving these amendments conditionally based on no substantive comments being received during the public comment period. Are there any questions?
Any questions for Stephen regarding the amendments in Exhibits A or B of the packet? If not, would there be a motion to recommend conditional approval of amendments A and B as presented?
I'll move to approve.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Ben Arith,
Yes.
Dan Triak,
Yes.
Deidre Hughes,
Yes.
Chris Holzer,
Yes.
Loretta Marshak,
Yes.
Riley McAdoo Raisler,
Yes.
Logan Bisey, Mitch Flanagan,
Yes.
Natalie Pierce,
Yes.
Will Hutchings,
Yes.
and Chair Ripple.
Yes. Amendments as exhibited in A and B of the packet are being recommended for conditional approval. We'll move on to item number 4 on the agenda. Again, another 2025-2028 TIP amendment with Stephen.
Thank you, Chair. Once again, Exhibit C in your packet provides details about another proposed amendment to the TIP. This amendment is adding another new project to fiscal year 25 for microsurfacing on County Road 139A in Morton County from 175 feet west of Crown Butte Lake Trail, about 6 miles east to 24th Avenue on the outskirts of Mandan. This project has 2 PCN numbers and will draw on 2 federal funding sources, one to account for the urban portion of the project and one to account for the rural portion. So there are details in the amendment form. We received word of this amendment several days after the first 2, but NDDOT expressed the same need to get this approved in August so that we can get the project ready to move forward for funding. And we are thus advertising the amendment again for the required 15-day comment period. And the public hearing for this will be 10 a.m. in the Blackstead Room in the City County Building on August 25th. So once again, we would be requesting the board consider conditional approval of this based on no substantive comments being received from the public.
Any questions for Stephen regarding the addition of the Morton County project? If not, would there be a motion for recommendation of conditional approval for this amendment as presented?
Chair, this is Natalie Pierce. I would recommend conditional approval, move to recommend approval, conditional approval of the amendment.
Thanks, Natalie. We have a first. Is there a second?
This is Loretta Marshak. I would second that motion.
Thank you, Loretta. We have a first, second. Is there any discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Ben Arith,
Yes.
Dan Triak,
Yes.
Deidre Hughes,
Yes.
Chris Holzer,
Yes.
Loretta Marshak,
Yes.
Logan Bisey,
Yes.
Riley McAdoo Raisler,
Yes.
Mitch Flanagan,
Yes.
Natalie Pierce,
Yes.
Will Hutchings,
Yes.
and Chair Ripple.
Yes. Recommendation for approval of the Morton County project addition to the 2025-2028 TIP has been approved. Thank you. And moving on to item number 5 on the agenda, it is the draft final version of the 2026-2027 Unified Planning Work Program. Stephen will be sharing his screen for this particular item, which is Exhibit D, and you'll find that on page 17 of your packet. This is the 2-year work program and budget for the Bismarck-Mandan MPO. The studies were thoroughly vetted through the jurisdictions and then through TAC and the Policy Board. We introduced and discussed the studies at the May meetings, and then the draft studies and budget details were presented again in the draft UPWP to the TAC and Policy Board in July. The draft UPWP was approved by Policy Board at their July meeting, and that allowed us to submit that draft document to our oversight agencies for a 30-day review. FTA and Federal Highway both stated they had no further comments to provide on the draft document. North Dakota DOT stated they had no comments, only to please ensure that all budgetary items were accurate. The the full UPWP is, like I said, enclosed in the packet as Exhibit D. Because it has been brought to the board before and the draft approved, don't really see a need to go over the document itself unless there would be the request or any inquiries from the board or anybody in attendance that would require us to do so. Staff is seeking a recommendation of approval by resolution of adoption of the final 2026-27 UPWP. And in the event that Policy Board would approve this document tomorrow at their meeting, the self-certification on page 9 of the document will be replaced by a signed self-certification that was approved by the Policy Board in May. It will look identical to the one that is in the UPWP currently. It will certify to the same 10 requirements, but it will be the one that was approved in May and then subsequently signed and approved by North Dakota DOT. So at this time, I would be happy to stand for any questions on the 26-27 UPWP or anything that I've presented in that regard.
Kim, this is Will. One note, there was a comment in the email I provided on Friday regarding the funding sources and the way that's detailed in the funding breakdown. NDDOT is requesting that instead of showing both the breakdown for North Dakota PL and North Dakota FTA funds, that those be combined and just say CPG funds, North Dakota CPG. And so those two amounts become just one. We're making this as a universal request across all MPOs because it provides a little more flexibility when these estimates don't quite come back exactly as they are detailed here. So that was in the attachment to the email I sent on Friday. No.
No.
Okay, sorry.
It wasn't. So I responded back. The attachment that was on the email was a UPWP amendment approval letter. So I think some wires got crossed
Gotcha.
there.
That's on me then, yeah. I think I sent you what I was trying to send Federal Highway, actually.
Okay,
So-
and the email body just referenced, I thought you
see
were
what you're
talking
saying.
about the budgetary breakdown in the budget worksheet.
Oh, yeah,
So-
I got you the wrong attachment. I'll resend it with the right one, and then it's a pretty minor change. Overall, the numbers aren't going to change. We just would want to combine those two. Keep the 2024 redistribution separate as well as the CS, but the NDPL and the NDFTA funds
And
would
the
just be listed
FTA.
as CPG instead.
Okay, yeah, that should be a pretty easy fix, just to combine those two.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Yep. No other comments,
Noted.
so.
Thank you, Will. Are there any other comments regarding the draft document? All right. Again, staff would be looking for a motion to recommend approval, which would be approval by adoption of resolution by the policy board with the change noted from North Dakota DOT.
This is Ben. I would move approval with the change as outlined by North Dakota DOT of the UPWP as presented.
Thank you. We have a motion. Is there a second?
This is Natalie Pierce. I'll second that motion.
And a second. Any discussion? No discussion. Roll call, please.
Ben Arith,
Yes.
Dan Shriak,
Yes.
Deidre Hughes,
Yes.
Chris Holzer,
Yes.
Loretta Marshak,
Yes.
Riley McAdoo Raisler,
Yes.
Logan Bisey, Mitch Flanagan,
Yes.
Mitch Flanagan,
Yes.
okay, Natalie Pierce,
Yes.
Will Hutchings,
Yes.
and Chair Ripple.
Yes. Motion approved. Thank you. Moving on to item number 6 on the agenda. That is the Bismarck-Mandan MPO public comment policy. Again, Stephen is being kind enough to share his screen for Exhibit E, that is on page 47 of your packet. This is a policy that was developed at the request of the Policy Board last month in response to a change in the North Dakota Century Code regarding the provision of public comment opportunity at regular meetings of certain political subdivisions. The policy outlines the reason for the policy, its statement, the scope of the policy, the North Dakota Century Code definition by which the policy is a requirement of the MPO, also the procedures for implementing the policy and its enforcement, and a link to the North Dakota Century Code as the source of requirement. It is interesting that a public entity refers to several different definitions as outlined in the North Dakota Century Code, but it is definition C that does apply to the Bismarck-Mandan MPO, and that definition is organizations or agencies supported in whole or in part by public funds or expending public funds. So that is what requires us to comply with this particular Century Code change. And as part of that Century Code change, it is indicated that such organizations or political subdivisions must develop and adopt a policy in regard to the public opportunity or public comment opportunity. Now, you will notice that we did offer the public comment opportunity at the beginning of this meeting prior to the policy being accepted or put in place, and that is only because North Dakota Century Code dictated that such changes should be in effect by August 1st of 2025. So we are just complying with that particular requirement. Getting into the policy, I think it's pretty straightforward, but on the second page, item number 5 does outline the procedures by which this policy will be implemented and enforced. And basically, it's pretty succinct. The public comment agenda item will be the first non-procedural agenda item at all regular meetings of the TAC Policy Board and the MPO's Bike Ped Subcommittee meetings. We will offer the public the opportunity to provide comments. Each speaker is requested to sign the comment or the commenter sign-in sheet up at the podium. Each individual will be allotted up to 5 minutes to speak. This time could be extended at the discretion of the chair, and the individual will be notified when the time has expired. An individual may not yield their time to another individual. So, if one person only speaks for 2 minutes, they can't give their remaining 3 minutes to somebody else, giving them 8 minutes. It's 5 minutes or less to each speaker. The meeting time dedicated to the public comment agenda item will be limited to 30 minutes total time, regardless of how many individuals have signed up to speak. That may be extended at the discretion of the chair, but each speaker, again, will be continued to be limited to 5 minutes each. All comments must address an item of the current agenda or the agenda of one preceding meeting, and those are for non-public hearing items only. The comments must pertain to the public entity holding the meeting, and comments may not be defamatory, abusive, or unlawful. Comments may not include information that is exempt or confidential under North Dakota Open Records Law, and comments may not interfere with the orderly conduct of the meeting. Are there any questions regarding the policy as it's laid out? Okay, if not...
Kim, I had a question.
Yes.
Is the policy or some type of procedures, do you anticipate that it'll be available to the public so they have an understanding of when they get up to speak or how to interact, what the limitations are of their ability to provide comment?
Well, that's a good question, Ben, and one that we probably hadn't thought out much in advance. But yes, we can actually put copies of the policy over on the table where we lay out our sign-in sheets for attendance. And I think that would be an appropriate location for anybody coming to the meeting to go ahead and grab one and familiarize themselves with that. All right. Thank you for the suggestion. Appreciate it. Anything else on the public comment policy? If not, is Kristen? This will need to go into the PPP. We'll be revising that this fall as well. So there are several other items that have have made that necessary, and this is a good one to include. Thank you. Anything else? Is there a motion to recommend approval of the policy for public comment?
This has been. I would recommend approval of the public procedure policy.
Thanks, Ben. Is there a second?
This is Deidre. I'll second.
And we have a second. Thanks, Deidre. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Ben Arith,
Yes.
Dan Shriak,
Yes.
Deidre Hughes,
Yes.
Chris Holzer,
Yes.
Loretta Marshak,
Yes.
Logan Bizey,
Yes.
Riley McAdoo-Raisler,
Yes.
Mitch Flanagan,
Yes.
Natalie Pierce,
Yes.
Will Hutchings,
Yes.
and Chair Ripple.
Yes. Motion is passed to recommend approval of the public comment policy. Moving on to item number 7 on the agenda is the 2025 Safety Policy Study, and Luke Champa of SRF will be presenting that for us. Luke, are you with us
Thanks.
online?
Yes, thanks, Chair Ripple. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, you're coming in a little bit soft in your volume.
Okay. I'm going to move the mic a little bit closer. Is that better?
But you're coming in clearly, so that's important. If you can just project your
Okay.
voice a little.
Okay,
Thank
will
you.
do. I will do my best here. I just want to provide a quick update here on the safety policy study. I want to thank everyone on the steering committee and TAC members for your comments on the web app for the high injury network data. We will be diving into that as I'll talk about a little bit more. We are almost finished with the refinements to memos and findings from our June steering committee. That includes the historical crash trend summary memo. We are moving to more of a bullet point narrative summary, and then adding most of the data that we talked about, including deeper dive into motorcycle crashes, for example, off-highway vehicles or OHVs, demographics, things of that nature. And then we will also be updating the pop-up community conversations, key themes document. So you should see those things come through in the next couple of weeks. Those should get to Kim very soon for initial review of the changes. And then I did send a recent technical memo to the steering committee about leadership commitment and goal setting. And this is what will set our regional Vision Zero for the Bismarck-Mandan region. And then there's a goal associated with that. And thinking of SS4A and eligibility for future implementation grants, we are setting that. We do want to set that goal in one of two ways. One is a specific target and target date to achieve zero severe crashes. So that'd be fatalities and serious injuries. And then the second option is to set a % reduction by a specific target date. And the language I included was 50% from the highest or from the peak that we're seeing over the 5-year period of 2020 through 2024 data. So I do encourage you to take a look at that. That'll be a conversation at our Thursday, September 25th steering committee meeting. That's our next meeting. And hopefully have a steering committee recommendation to include in a formal action at approval or adoption of the safety policy study at the end of the year. Also, for upcoming steering committee meeting, we will provide more public engagement summary. There's a few groups we've met with, including the off-highway vehicle state coordinator with the state of North Dakota. It was a very interesting meeting. We also recently met with the North Dakota Motor Carriers Association and some local freight carriers. And then we are currently coordinating with Abate, which is a nonprofit motorcycle organization. They do a lot of advocacy and education for motorcycle riders and motorcycle rider rights. We are also currently diving deep into the high injury network and the comments that we received. And so we are going to be putting together some of the characteristics that we're seeing across the high injury network. That includes things like intersection configuration, speed limit, traffic volume, adjacent land use, and so on. And the results of that analysis will be, and the historical crash analysis will lead to the preliminary toolkit and countermeasure selection process that we will be presenting at that September 25th steering committee meeting. So we really hope to share quite a few things again at that meeting and sort of get into the weeds of how you all would like to make decisions around countermeasures and identifying some, trouble areas of where to implement these things in the future. So it should be a good and interactive meeting next month, and we're busy preparing for it. I think that's mostly update, unless Chair Ripple, you've got something that I missed.
Thanks, Luke. No, I don't have anything to add. That was pretty comprehensive, so I appreciate that. Any questions for Luke on the safety policy study? I think you covered it, Luke. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you all.
All right, moving on to item number 8 is a 2025 ITS Regional Architecture Update with Sherry Jad. He's not able to make it and join us today, so I'll give a brief report on that. The Intelligent Transportation System Regional Architecture Update has been ongoing with a system inventory update. The table on page 51 of the packet, which is included as Exhibit G. Maybe, Stephen, could I ask you once again to share your screen? We're probably not going to go through a lot of this table, but just to give folks at home an idea of what they're looking at when I'm speaking about it, it would be nice. Thank you. Again, the table that's shown on page 51 of the packet provides an overview of the system inventory, and you can see it covers several pages. It's pretty extensive. A majority of the stakeholders for the elements within the system, along with added projects deployed since the previous update in 2021, have been identified. But there are a few remaining, as shown in the table. You'll see the first few rows. We need to do a little bit of work left on those. And while small stakeholders group meetings were initially held to begin the system inventory update, they will now resume with a meeting of communications and IT stakeholders to finalize the inventory. So then we can take a look at the service packages and the functional requirements. Those can all be reviewed, and hopefully that will be completed by October. In addition, the service packages and functional requirements will be aligned with MPO planning goals and objectives as outlined in the Arrive 2050 MTP. So there's a lot of work that continues to be done in the background for this update, and it is on budget and on schedule for a December 2025 completion. Any questions on the ITSRA update? All right. Moving on, we will go to item number 9 on the agenda, which is the 2025 monitoring report. And Stephen will provide us an update on that.
Thank you, Chair. Really, really quick. So the MPO and our consultant on this project are continuing to work on the draft monitoring report document. Most of the intensive work is going to be upcoming this month and through October. We remain on track to complete the project by the end of the year. Are there any questions?
No questions for Stephen? All right, thank you, Stephen. We're going to keep you up there. We'll move on to item number 10, Fringe Area Road Master Plan update.
Yes. So the Fringe Area Road Master Plan update, we sent out a request for proposals. The deadline for proposals on this project was August 8th. We have received 4 proposals on the project from, we received 1 from KLJ, 1 from Bolton and Mank, 1 from SRF, and 1 from HDR, and the selection committee will be conducting interviews with the proposing consultants in early September. The MPO would expect then to bring the top-ranked consultant to TAC and Policy Board for a possible approval at the September board meetings. Are there any questions?
Any questions on the Fringe Area Road Master Plan update? We'll look forward to further reports in September. Thanks, Stephen.
Mm-hmm.
Number 11 on the agenda is administrative modifications to the TIP. Stephen?
So, Exhibit I in your packet is the beginning of the administrative modification. So this month we processed 12 administrative modifications to the 25 through 28 TIP. NDDOT contacted us and requested we remove these projects. 6 of them were moved from fiscal year 27 and 6 from fiscal year 26 into fiscal year 25 in case additional 25 funding comes available because of the August redistribution at the end of the current federal fiscal year. So most or all of the projects that are being moved will likely be moved back to 26 or 27 in the near future. This is simply a advanced planning move by DOT in case there is additional federal funds available for this year. So the projects being moved include 2 Bismarck safety projects, a widening project on Washington Street, an urban grants project in downtown Bismarck, 4 microsurfacing projects in Bismarck, 3 concrete pavement repair projects in Bismarck, and then 1 mill and overlay project in Mandan. And in the Exhibit I project tables, there are details about the projects, each one of them as far as costs and extents and such. Are there any questions?
Any questions by members of the TAC regarding the 12 administrative modifications? Chris?
Chair Ripple and Stephen, just some little possible glitches on that first sheet you showed. It said 6/2026 and 6/2026 projects. I think one of those was supposed to be the 2027 year. Left. Exhibit I.
Oh, up one more page. Okay. Oh, yes, you're correct. 6, yes. 20, I will have to make that correction then. Yes, thank you.
And we talked offline. One of the 2025 sheet showed 14 million for intersection project, and it was only supposed to be 1 million.
Yeah, 1.4 million. Yes, and that correction will be made as well before that is submitted. Thank you for the reminder, Chris. And I'll just also note too that the projects that are being moved to 25, they are all going to be included in the draft 26-29 TIP that's going to be brought to the board in September, because again, we're expecting most of those projects to be moved back to 26 or 27. So yeah, we're kind of prepared for either option depending on what happens with these projects. So yeah, thank you. Any other questions?
Doesn't sound like we have any other questions. Thank you very much, Stephen. Appreciate it. And thanks for explaining to us how that's going to impact the development of the TIP. So, we'll move on to item number 12, which is roadway projects with all jurisdictions. Maybe we'll go in alphabetical order today. That would make Bismarck first. Chris, what's going on in Bismarck?
Chair Ripple, we've got a few big projects still going on. East Century Avenue between Centennial Road and 52nd Street is progressing. The paving is finished between Centennial and Roosevelt Drive. It's still a 3-lane section while they do some work on the edges. And then east of Roosevelt Drive, they're still working on some sewer pipes and grading in that area. But they hope to have it all finished this fall as planned. 3rd Street downtown between Main Avenue and Bismarck Expressway, they finished work on the outside lanes, and now they are working on the inside lanes. So that's progressing. And then up by the North Walmart, Skyline Boulevard was closed for a few weeks. That work is 2/3 finished. Right now they're working on 19th Street in that same area. And then next week they'll go back to Skyline and do some mill and overlay, and that will be the end of the project for this year.
Just a question on the Skyline project. That was previously closed with the work that they were doing before. Will that be a full closure again?
There won't be any more full closures after 19th Street is reopened.
Okay, thank you.
At least that's the plan, but sometimes that changes.
Understood. Thank you. Anything else for Bismarck? All right. Moving on to Burleigh County. Dan?
Yeah, well, we have wrapped up our Highway 10 chip seal and paving project, and that's about the only update I have today.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Lincoln. Do we have anything from Lincoln? Loretta?
We have some minimal road maintenance going on. No road projects that I'm aware of. I'm still getting up to speed on what they have going on in the city of Lincoln. So that's all I have for today.
Right, appreciate
Thank you.
that. Thank you, Loretta. How about Mandan? Riley?
So I think always the big project to talk about is Memorial Highway. Crews have been busy installing water main, sanitary sewer, storm sewer along the south side of the roadway, working their way west from 46th Street. Subgrade and gravel work has begun, kind of started in late July, kind of continuing, and concrete paving will hopefully pick up here soon. As for some other projects, we have two pretty significant water main replacement projects that are ongoing, and they've started kind of finishing up the paving and grading on those. I know they have their pavement around the schools, and that was kind of a big push for us, was to make sure they had at least the first lift of asphalt around the schools.
Yeah, the opening of schools sends a signal that we need to get some of those projects wrapped up, right? Thanks for the report. Morton County?
A lot of projects in the rural area. I'm filling in for John, so I'm not aware of ones in the MPO area right now.
Okay, appreciate that. Thanks, Natalie. And Logan, how about North Dakota DOT?
Looked like he gave a good strip update, so I won't do that. And then exit 161 is still plugging along. There might be some traffic control changes here at the end of the month, so keep an eye out for signs. Follow them. But other than that, I got no major updates.
All right, well, thank you very much. All right, moving on to item number 13 is other business. Does anybody have any other business they'd like to bring before the TAC?
I do have a quick item today. So just to remind everyone, the MPO solicited for the fiscal year 26 recreational trails program earlier this year. And we had received 2 applications, one for a Cottonwoods Park trail rehab in Bismarck and one for a 66th Street Southeast Pathway extension in Lincoln. The Parks and Recreation District for North Dakota has announced the projects that were selected for fiscal year 26 funding. So they received 20 applications statewide for this program and selected 5 for funding, and that included the City of Lincoln's 66th Street project. So that will be receiving the federal funding that was requested and will be included in our draft tip next month as well. Any questions?
Any questions for Stephen? Oh, great. Well, the RTP program has been a good program for the City of Lincoln, and congratulations to them. That's good news.
Thank you.
Any other business to be brought before the TAC?
As of this weekend, the draft 2026-2029 STIP has been released for a 30-day public comment period. I forwarded a news release. There was an incorrect date on it that actually had last year's date. So, but the correct date, give me 1 second here. It looks like the news release was actually updated. So I'm pulling it up right now because I'm just learning about the date. The comment review and comment period is from August 15th to September 15th of this year.
Okay, and that is the corrected date then, Will?
I believe so, yes.
Okay,
Yep.
great. Good news. Thank you. Any other business to bring before the TAC? All right. I'm not seeing or hearing any, so I'll go ahead and call the meeting adjourned, and we'll see everybody again, same time, same place next month.